And we are back. Hi guys. And we're gonna make this real short just because this is already my third take on the video itself. But today we're gonna be talking about Pokemon Go. And there has been some adjustments to it lately. Mainly just for the fact that, we're trying to adjust back to normal times as to where Pokemon Go is meant for people to go out there and walk, to actually go out there with a community and spend a bit of money. And that's honestly the reality of Pokemon Go itself. I'm sure some of you have noticed, but Pokemon Go is P2P, pay to play, meaning in which your normal child cannot play, even though this is a franchise in which is meant for children, and some of those children just manage to grow up, become adults, and actually spend money on it. Or simply children have parents to actually have them spend money on it so that way they can invest in their own account. Now, mind you, the game itself is still kind of F2P free to play, but only in certain occasions, and it's not necessarily in the fact where if you're trying to play on a day-to-day basis or if you're trying to distract yourself with a game, you have to actually pay to play for this game, and some people actually do. I mean, this topic, ironically enough, is going to be a bit touchy just because, these adjustments to remote raid passes being removed was for COVID only. It wasn't for people to actually, just expect it to remain for the rest of Pokemon Go's longevity. It wasn't meant for that. It was meant to only adjust to the COVID times to prevent any more spread of the virus itself, and so that way there's going to be less deaths. But unfortunately, some people are actually going to cling on to the hope where remote raid passes are going to stay, or they want them to come back and stay the same. And that's kind of going to go against Pokemon Go's own mission statement as to where they actually do want people to go out there and enjoy the actual world. But at the same time, I was watching a couple videos from Mystic7 and also from another guy that I forgot what his name is, but I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. But he was talking about from the perspective in which he was hospitalized during 2021, which is still in the midst of COVID, and how Pokemon Go was, in a way, his alleviation to not thinking about his next injections or his next medication or any procedures that he may have to actually go with because he had cancer. And thankfully, Pokemon Go at least alleviated that mental pain in the sense where, hey, perhaps I'm not going to have to worry about my medications, or if I am, I'm at least going to try to, do a bit of remote raid passes, even though it costs me a bit of money, like I'm going to do it. And I'm like, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, honestly, why not? Like, who the hell wants to think about that? And, I may not understand that perspective, but I'm at least seeing it, and it did make me want to make this video. I'm like, okay, well, from someone's perspective in which nothing's wrong with Mystic7, and from someone who actually started their Pokemon Go career during the midst of this terrible portion of his life, I want to combine both perspectives and see if I can at least get through to you guys that Pokemon Go's new adjustment to Pokemon, it had to eventually happen at some point. I started playing back in 2016. I'm level 43, and I'm more of like an intermediate casual player, you could say, because I do invest a bit of money into it. But from my own personal perspective, I'm gonna tell you, and I'm gonna try to at least be the most unbiased as possible. But mind you, this game isn't meant for everybody. It's only meant for people that are actually fine and that can actually go out there and walk. 2, for people that have some type of income and that can actually spend on the game itself. And 3, it's for people that actually are diehard fanatics of the Pokemon game series. And there's a lot of people that I know, including my girlfriend, that actually doesn't even like Pokemon that much or wasn't too invested into it until Pokemon Go, that had decided to actually take an interest upon it. But mainly the people that did continue playing Pokemon were the ones that, okay, perhaps actually did not even play Pokemon that much, but actually did take a genuine interest upon it. Or people that actually liked Pokemon and you were like, what, no, even though throughout 2017 to 2019, the game wasn't that good, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to see if I can at least, make something out of it. And, I commend many people that actually did that. I mean, Mystic7 primarily being the #1 YouTuber for Pokemon Go gameplay. I mean, wow, that's just fascinating that his career entirely rests upon Pokemon Go itself. But for people that actually did stream or that actually did rely on remote raiding so that way their content can actually be good, that came to an end in the sense, because granted we are permitted the 5 raid passes a day, and although it's 2 times almost more expensive, we can still do it, but it's majorly decentralized just for the fact that we can't play it like back then. And what I at least want everyone to come to an understanding for is that you may go ahead and try to make a petition for it, or you may try to contact Niantic and be like, hey, this is unjust. But in reality, Niantic is just sticking to its mission statement. And mind you, I'm not trying to defend Niantic because I also suffered from this. I mean, mind you, for those of you that actually, and I'm going to go further into depth as to why I understand both perspectives. For Primal Kyogre Day, or Primal Groudon, I did 86 raids, and half of those raids involved remote raid passes. So I wouldn't be able to have leveled up my 96 IV shiny lucky Kyogre to level 50 if it wasn't for a remote raid passes. So I completely understand you guys that actually are against the fact that Niantic took them off, but you also have to understand Niantic took them off just for the simple fact that it was only for COVID. It wasn't meant for people that were hospitalized or that have some type of disability. As harsh as that sounds, it wasn't meant for those people. It was meant for everyone, so that way we wouldn't spread the disease any further and incur more deaths upon the world, because this was almost a global pandemic. But thankfully we got out of it, and because we are returning back to normal times, that also calls for the fact that remote raid passes are also going to just have to be nerfed, you could say. And it sucks, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna miss being in bed with my girlfriend, literally having spent $20 on each of us, so that way we can see who gets the shiny first. I'm gonna miss that. And now I can't even do that with my girlfriend. At most, I'm gonna have to waste $10 for the both of us, so that way, about $10 or more for the both of us to do that exact then. And even then, we can only do 5 raids a day, so it's honestly just pointless. And I'm gonna miss it, honestly. I really am gonna miss it. But I guess I'm just gonna have to get out there and go pokey hunting like back then when I was a pubescent boy, a teenager. I guess I'm gonna have to do that again. And not gonna lie, I had gotten accustomed to remote raid passes, but I also accepted the reality that it was only meant for 2 years during the COVID time, or it was only meant for the amount of time that COVID was going to be prolonged. Thankfully, we're not in it no more, but that also came to the conclusion in which remote raid passes will have to be gone. And I don't think that decision is going to be rescinded, just because Niantic has made sufficient amount of money off people like us, like me, like you guys, because of those raid passes, or just normal raid passes. Like, they literally have made that amount of money. I mean, even then, like Monopoly, not Monopoly, Pokemon is like a monopoly. There you go. Pokemon has just spread its claws throughout a bunch of gaming companies, has made so many collabs that the company itself is just that rich to the point where they could afford having lost such a good investment in money that they created, and now that they're taking away, to me that's a bit of integrity, just because they're sticking to their guns. Granted, it sucks. I know it sucks, but I respect it. I don't like it. And once more, I mean, this, to be honest, this game just isn't meant for everybody. It really isn't. As much as that sucks to say, I mean, yeah, granted, there's events like Community Day that's coming up pretty soon for next weekend on Saturday, April 15th. That's for everyone. It's a free-to-play event. But for people that actually make a living, or that actually do make content off Pokemon Go, or simply are just fanatics to the point where they actually would just want to raid every day, we all had to accept, we're all under the same umbrella that Niantic just made this decision for everybody. Some are affected more than others. I personally, I'm not, because I wasn't too invested into remote raiding. Only when I liked it, to be honest. I really only did remote raiding to that extent of wasting literally $50 to $100 on remote raid passes. I only did that when I liked the Pokemon, and that's still going to affect me when the next Pokemon comes up. But I'm not going to go out there and make a petition because I knew that this day was going to eventually come. I know that the game's also just not for everybody. And for those of you that are going to hate me from just saying that, it's just a cruel reality, unfortunately. And if you guys can make a petition to actually have remote raid passes come back, that's going to be great. Or come back the way they were, that's going to be great. But I just don't see that happening. It seems kind of far-fetched. Okay, that was cringe, I know. But yeah, guys, I mean, just hang in there. I know that doesn't even sound like much of a morale booster, but I mean, who knows? Pokemon Go or Niantic might just make some other type of events that are going to be accessible to all of us players, especially those that are in rural areas that can't even play that much or don't even have that many gyms or Pokestops to play in. Like perhaps you guys, I mean, you guys are also affected by it, but we'll see. Pokemon Go has been around for almost 7 years. Let's see where it goes. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next time.